Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Samantha and I make videos on minimalism, productivity, my no-buy life and intentional living. So in today's video, I want to discuss 9 tips that I have for you if you want to shop intentionally. Before I start this video, I want to say hello to all my new subscribers. I'm nearly at 500 subscribers, which is great, yay! And I also want to apologize for not uploading for the last few weeks. I've actually been quite ill. Hopefully things are better now, and also my job got super busy. I wanted to give you a little bit of an explanation as to where I've been. So in case anybody doesn't know, in 2019 I spent the entire year doing a low buy no buy. And if you don't know what a low buy no buy is, it's when you make a commitment to not spend any money on non-essentials. Now everybody's rules are different for their low buy no buy. In my particular case, I didn't want to buy any clothes or any makeup, and for the most part I was fairly successful. I had backups of makeup, and I actually have like 77 items of clothes, and the reason why I know that number is because I did an inventory of my entire wardrobe. I did a video on that which I'll link in the cards above and also in the description below. So those clothes were enough to last me for a year. Now don't get me wrong, some of those clothes are looking a bit worn and does need replacing, but I'm still continuing on my low buy no buy this year. I don't know how far into the year I'll go, but for now it's still going pretty strong and I don't want to buy anything new. I did get a few new items in 2019, but most of them came in the form of gifts, and I think I bought like one sports bra and a couple of smaller items. So in the last year, because I was doing this low buy no buy thing, I had to really be very intentional with my shopping habits, and I've reduced down my strategy into 9 tips that I wanted to share with you guys today. So my first tip is not to buy anything on the sales. Now some people are actually quite good at thrifting, but I'm one of those people who are always last in line, and so by the time I do get round to the sales, all the items have been handled by multiple customers, the fit isn't quite right, the clothing isn't quite at its best, and really I've never found a very good bargain at the sales. And a lot of people think that, oh, I'm saving money in the sales, but if you weren't actually going to buy that item full price anyway, you are essentially just spending money in the sales. So if something's been reduced down from £14 to £7 and you wouldn't have bought it at £14 but you did buy it at £7, you've just spent £7 on that item. You haven't actually saved £7. So just think about it in that way. Sales aren't really a way of saving you money. Now, as I said, some people are really good at thrifting and that's how they buy a lot of their clothes, and if that's you, then feel free. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but for somebody like me who's not great at sales shopping and who doesn't really buy a lot of clothes anyway, just avoid sales. I don't think they're really that worth it. My second tip is to go to shops when it's really quiet. That way you have time and space to really think about your purchase. I can spend hours actually debating over an item. Okay, maybe not hours, that's maybe too much. Maybe I'll spend like half an hour debating over an item, and I think about all aspects, like does it fit within the rest of my wardrobe? Am I going to really realistically wear this? Do I have other items that are similar to this and that I do wear? So all of these questions I go through in my head. I try the item on. I shop a lot in Oxford Circus because my office is based there, but I never go at the busy periods. I'll take an earlier lunch break and go when I know it will be quiet, or I'll go around 4 p.m. and then spend a couple of hours shopping. It gets really busy in the evenings, and I will dedicate a couple of hours to this because I don't want to get flustered because there's loads of people in the shops and I just want to get out of there, and therefore I make like very quick purchasing decisions. And my third tip is, even if you've bought something and then you later change your mind, it's completely okay to refund it. A lot of times when I do online shopping, I buy multiple sizes, so size like 8 through to 12, because that's kind of my size range, and you don't always know what's going to fit you, and then I'll just refund the items that don't fit me. My next tip is to recognize when you're trying to make an item fit. That's a real red flag. So if you've got on a top and you think, or like a dress for example, and you think, oh, this dress doesn't look quite right, maybe it will look better with a belt, that goes to show that that dress isn't perfect. Or maybe like this shirt would look better if I just wore it like off the shoulder. That would look better, the fit would look better. You don't have to make these compromises in clothes. They should be cut to fit you and look good perfectly, belt or no belt, off the shoulder or not off the shoulder. If you're trying to make an item look good in your head by adding accessories or trying to modify it, then it might be a red flag, and kind of steer away from buying items like that if you're unsure. My fifth tip is to consider whether the item that you're trying on stands up to the well-loved items that you have in your wardrobe already. In fact, you should actually wear a really nice outfit that you absolutely love when you go shopping, and then when you're trying on the new item, you can actually do a like-for-like comparison and see, okay, wearing this new outfit, do I feel as confident and as comfortable as I do wearing the clothes that I came in? And if the answer is no, then you might have to consider whether you really want this item. If it's not standing up to well-loved and already worn items, and this item is completely new, maybe you shouldn't purchase it. My next tip is to do an inventory of your wardrobe. I've already spoken about my inventory of my wardrobe, my 77 items. So when I did that inventory, I realized that I really wanted a pair of black boots, like high-heeled black boots. I've always had high-heeled black boots, but because of my low buy no buy last year, I actually didn't have them, and so that's a real gap in my wardrobe that I feel. I still haven't bought them yet, and maybe if I come across the perfect pair of black boots, I'll buy them, but for now it's not completely necessary. But I know that that's where a specific gap in my wardrobe is. Another thing I realized when I did my inventory is that I don't need any more coats. Obviously, living in the UK, I absolutely love wearing coats because I have to wear coats. It's bloody freezing here. But I have so many coats. But every new year, like, beautiful coats come out and I get really, really tempted. And I do end up buying more. But when I did my inventory, I was just like, whoa, I have a lot of coats. I don't really need to buy coats for the next couple of years at the very least. It's a little bit disappointing because that is one item that I enjoy purchasing and I enjoy wearing. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I've got about 5 coats or so, and that's completely enough to kind of last me for the next couple of years. My next tip is to wait it out for a bit. If you really like something, then wait for a week or so, and if after the week you still really want that item and you're still thinking about it, then consider maybe purchasing it. For example, there was this sweater that I absolutely loved in the windows of an All Saints store that I pass all the time when I go to the gym, and I fell in love with the jumper, and I kept thinking about it. I thought, you know what, stuff it, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna buy that jumper. So I went in and I asked how much it was, and it was like £120. Now, I had thought it would be about £60 because it said 50% off all items in the shop, but when I went into the shop, it was one of the items that was completely full price. And obviously at that point I cut myself off because I had like an affordability point, which is my next point, which is make sure that you have a cut-off amount. So for me, like, I was okay with spending £60 on a sweater. That would definitely have been my most expensive sweater, but because I liked it so much and I do know that I would have worn it quite a lot, so I was okay with spending that amount of money. But £120, like, no way, that's not something that I can afford. So be okay with having a cutoff point and know what you can afford and what you can't afford. And that's one of the great things about this low buy no buy. It's helped me stay within what I can afford and not feel compelled to buy things that are outside of what I can afford. And it is actually quite difficult in the age that we live in, with social media, with everybody, you know, showing off all of their purchases, showing off their lifestyle. You can get drawn into wanting to spend more than you can afford. And I definitely feel like fall prey to that all the time. Maybe not so much in clothes and makeup because those genuinely aren't my interests to begin with, but definitely for experiences and things like that. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that you want to admit to yourself, that you can fall into the trap of wanting to keep up with the Joneses, but I think it's quite natural, and because of social media and the world that we live in, it is very difficult not to fall into that trap. And that's why this low buy no buy has been really helpful to me, and I hope to continue to learn that lesson and to incorporate it into my life going forward, because I never want to feel that I'm buying things or I'm straining my finances just because I want to keep up with other people. And my final tip is to forgive yourself if you make a purchase that you're not happy with. Everybody does that. Everybody makes mistakes. And this whole low buy no buy philosophy and this whole journey into trying to shop intentionally is because you're improving yourself, and it's very commendable in itself. You don't need to always hold yourself yourself up to the highest standard, and if you fail, that's completely fine. Life is for living. You only have one life, and mistakes will happen. I have a very recent example. My husband and I spent a lot of money on a trip to Italy that we had planned for our friend's wedding, but obviously with the coronavirus, Italy is in complete lockdown, and the wedding is not going to go forward, and we have lost a bunch of money. Now, we had to forgive ourselves. What can you do? You can't predict coronavirus. It was one of those circumstances where we had to be like, fine, we've just lost a bit of money. That was kind of easier to forgive ourselves because it wasn't a mistake that we had actually done. It was just kind of an act of God, as you would describe it. But there are times when you yourself would genuinely make a mistake. You will make a purchase that you truly regret, and that's okay. You are not expected to be perfect. So just remember that if you do make a mistake, it's fine. It's not a big deal. So that kind of leads me to the end of my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will leave more low buy, no buy inspirational videos in the descriptions below and also in the cards above. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm very, very excited to have you all on board, and I'll see you next week. Bye.